Union Minister of State Independent Charge for Science and Technology, Earth Sciences, and MOSPMO, Personnel, Public Grievances, Pensions, Atomic Energy and Space, Dr. Jitendra Singh, Dr. Rajesh S. Gokhale, Secretary, Department of Biotechnology, Dr. Jitendra Kumar, Managing Director, BIRAC, Dr. Manish Diwan, Head BIRAC-RDI Fund, and Dr. Vinod Paul, Member, Niti Aayog. Distinguished guests in the hall, dear friends from the media, a very good morning. It is my privilege and pleasure to welcome you. Today we have gathered here on the occasion of the launch of the BIRAC Research Development and Innovation, RDI, Fund for Biotechnology and related areas. This initiative marks an important step in strengthening India's biotechnology ecosystem by promoting research, enabling industry-academia collaboration, and accelerating the translation of innovation into impactful solutions for the society. At the outset, I invite Dr. Manish Diwan, Head BIRAC-RDI Fund, to deliver the welcome and opening remarks.
थोड़ा सा excitement. Honorable guest of honor, Mantri ji, Dr. Jitendra Singh, Minister of State, Independent Charge, Ministry of Science and Technology, Professor Vinod Paul, Member, Niti Aayog, Dr. Rajesh Gokhale, Secretary, DBT, Chairman, BIRAC, Dr. Jitendra Singh, Jitendra Kumar, MD, BIRAC, Ms. Shamima Siddiqui, Additional Director General, PIB, dignitaries of the dais, esteemed colleagues from the industry, startups, investors, colleagues from DBT, BST, ANRF, BIRAC, and friends from media and press. Good morning. I think Government of India, DBT, BIRAC have been nurturing the innovation ecosystem through Startup India, Make in India, the national missions, and have been providing the foundational support to the ecosystem through early stage grants that has transformed the nascent sector into a vibrant landscape of 11,000 biotech startups in the country. India has proven that it can innovate in the lab. However, as we look at the global stage, we realize that we have mastered the skill to start. Now we must master the skill to scale. RDI Fund represents a fundamental orbit shift in how Government of India fuels innovation. We are moving away from incrementalism. Our target is the high delta change, the leap from me-too products to first-in-class platform technologies. We recognize that a deep tech bio-innovation doesn't need capital, but it requires a specific kind of handholding that understands the journey from TRL4 to TRL9. Our goal is to build resilient indigenous supply chains that ensure India is not dependent on the outside world for its biological essentials, be it enzymes, APIs, or key intermediate materials, sustainable materials. By introducing long-term capital, which is patient, collateral-free, equity, and strategic co-funding, it is the nudge to our ecosystem that it needs to stop playing catch-up and start leading the global conversations. Details will be shared by MD BIRAC in his presentation. This initiative is the catalyst that will accelerate our trajectory towards the 300 billion bioeconomy target in the near future, but importantly, it will set a tone for our journey towards 2047. As we march towards Viksit Bharat, we aspire to see biotech revolution that is made in India and designed for the world. To the startups and industry in this room and across the country, BIRAC-RDI Fund is now ready. We invite you to bring your most ambitious, high-impact R&D and manufacturing moonshots to us. Once again, a very warm welcome to each one of you. Let us together shift the orbit of Indian biotechnology. Thank you.
Thank you. With the opening remarks having now set the tone for today's event, I now request dignitaries on the dais to kindly come forward for lighting of the lamp before we proceed further. Thank you. Moving ahead, I now invite Dr. Jitendra Kumar, Managing Director, BIRAC, to present an overview of the RDI Fund.
Honorable Minister for Science and Technology, Shri Jitendra Singh ji, Honorable Member Niti Aayog, Shri Vinod Paul ji, respected Secretary DBT and Chairman BIRAC, Shri Rajesh Gokhale ji, respected Secretary DST, Shri Abhay Karandikar ji. He could not make it because of his ill health. उनका अभिनंदन करता हूँ मैं. Respected Ms. Shamima Siddiqui ji, ADG, respected CEO of ANRF, who is amongst with us today, Shivram Kalyan Ramanji, respected Joint Secretary DST, Dr. Jyoti Sharma, respected Joint Secretary ANRF, Shri Nishant Verma, respected officers of DBT, and my colleagues from BIRAC. Dear startups, representatives from industry, members of press, venture capitalists who have come here today, and ladies and gentlemen, I welcome you all for the launch of BIRAC-RDI Fund. And this is a very, very important event in the history of the innovation ecosystem that BIRAC has been building. And in this press conference, in this August gathering, I welcome you all. I'll make a short presentation of what it is actually. So RDF, as you know, is a 1 lakh crore fund which our finance minister had launched, our government has launched to fulfill the unmet need of the valley of death, what we say. BIRAC has been selected as a second level fund manager for this prestigious fund. And first of all, I want to congratulate all my BIRAC team who are my ears and hands. And I'm just the face of it. And I thank ANRF to consider us for a second level fund manager. So BIRAC has been creating a very good innovation ecosystem in the entire country for last decade, more than a decade actually. It started in 2012, and right from creating the infrastructure facilities which was needed, like bioness centers. We have now 100 bioness centers. As you can see in this graph, as after these bioness centers which are created, the startups would need funding. So we had Biotech Ignition Grant, we had SIBRI, BIP, and battery of grants, which actually catered to the needs of the value chain. The whole value chain actually we covered up to the product commercialization. And because of this, we have plethora of achievements that we can claim. So 100 bionest incubation centers, 10 lakh plus square feet of incubation space, 15 lakh plus startup entrepreneurs which has been engaged, 900 products in the market, more than 1,000 IPs have been filed, 28,000 plus proposals have been assessed, 5,000 startups entrepreneurs have been supported, 8,000 crores of follow-on fundings have been raised. Once we have funded, actually they have raised more funds. 100 plus national and international partnerships have happened. 400 plus academia have been supported. 35,000 plus high-skilled jobs have been created. 10,000 plus mentors pool, which is a great asset for us actually. And 7,000 crores of total investment made, out of which 4,000 crore, more than 4,000 crore is BIRAC funding directly, and 2,800 crore is a co-funding by the industry and others. So as you can see, if we have funded something, the industry has brought their own co-funding. This is a industry academic, or you can say industry government collaboration. And in many of these schemes, we have included academics also in big way. So many of the proposals we get actually, they have academic component and the industry component. So in a way, we are fulfilling this aspiration of a three helix model that we talk about. Because of this, we have launched so many products. And I'm not going to name each one of them, but you can see vaccines, devices, diagnostics, biotherapeutics. These are very good products. I mean, products of national importance has been launched through BIRAC support. However, we still have a great opportunity. We have moved from 28 billion US dollars in 2012, the economy, bioeconomy I'm talking about, to 165.7 billion in 2024. And we aspire for 300 billion US dollars by 2030 and 1 trillion by 2047, by the time we are Viksit Bharat actually. So the challenge still is the quantum of funding is limited. Although we have done so much, but the quantum of funding has never exceeded, say, not more than 5 to 10 crores, which may not be enough for the startup. In some cases, we have funded more, like National Biopharma Mission and all, but usually in the BIRAC scheme of things, we have not crossed, usually 10 crores of amount. So there is definitely a need in the biotech industry there is a hunger. So quantum of funding is limited. As I said, early stage VC funding is still, non-existing. Actually, it's evolving. So that is a need, and many companies are hungry for funds, and therefore many of these companies we risk losing. They go to go to abroad, they list abroad, and so we lose. And in these companies we have invested at the most critical stage, the most risky stage when nobody was there. And imagine if they all move to abroad, seeking the venture capital fund or any other kind of acquisition, it would be a great loss for the country. Therefore, recognizing this need, RDIF fund has been created by government, which is a great need of the hour. I think this is very, very timely. And ANRF is the statutory body which is handling this. So some of the terms and conditions for the benefit of audience is, I'm just saying that BIRAC has been appointed as a second level fund manager under RDIF, in addition to TDB, which is also has been appointed, but it's sector agnostic, and BIRAC is only for biotech. Contract will be signed between RDIF and BIRAC. We're in the process of signing that contract. Rupees 2,000 crore is expected to be deployed over the maximum period of 5 years. And I have been told that once you can spend 2,000 crore, we'll replenish it with more funds. So funding may not be a problem now, looks like. BIRAC will follow the relevant provisions of implementation guidelines of RDIF. Investment committee, 6 to 8 members from industry experts will be set up. BIRAC will be focusing on biotech and related areas through an open call. And today is the launch of the call. Evaluations to be done within 8 weeks, and funds will be disbursed within 12 weeks. BIRAC-RDI fund will be set up as a separate division, and we will have a separate head of BIRAC-RDIF, and he will be assisted by principal investments, legal, corporation secretariat, finance and accounting, administration and communication. We're in the process of setting the whole division. As far as the funding goes, we will have category of funding. So option, category 1 would be, say, optionally convertible preference shares. This could be for startups and SMEs up to, say, investment up to 25 CR. Second category will be partial equity share capital and balance as OCPS. So at the outset, we will say infuse equity capital, say 25 to 30%, and rest OCPS. So this will be second category. And the third category will be unsecured debt for long term, and this could be for investments above rupees 50 crores. And all these categories are, we have defined, but actually it's a fluid, because investment committee will actually assess based on case-to-case basis, and it could be permutation and combination of these categories that I said. So BIRAC-RDI process flow, investment process flow would be, we'll streamline it very much. Although BIRAC is already doing this for a long time, we may have to actually make it more and more streamlined. So we will finish it in 8 weeks, say call for launch for submission week 1 and week 2 eligibility screening and response, and so on and so forth. Final approval by IC, we expect that within week 8 it should be done. We will do technical and scientific diligence, market and commercial diligence, and the key investment terms will be set up, governance rights, investor protection will be set up, post-investment monitoring and governance would be a great importance, will be monitored very tightly. So ongoing monitoring will be there, and then governance and compliance will be there. So I'll stop it here because of the time limitation, but I once again thank ANRF DST for considering us for the second level fund manager. And I thank all the stakeholders for continuous encouragement that you have given to BIRAC. And I expect that BIRAC will come to the expectations, come up to the expectations of the whole entire country. Thank you so much.
Thank you. May I now request Dr. Rajesh S. Gokhale to deliver his remarks, please.
Namaskar and good morning to all of you. Honorable Minister of Science and Technology, Dr. Jitendra Singh ji, Honorable Member Niti Aayog, Dr. Vinod Paul ji, Deputy Director General PIB, Madam Shamima, MD BIRAC, Dr. Jitendra Kumar ji, Dr. Manish Tiwan, friends from media, colleagues from Ministry of Science and Technology, ladies and gentlemen. It's indeed a proud moment for me to address all of you on this momentous occasion of the call of, announcing the call of national call of ANRF of BIRAC-RDI fund for the biotechnology related areas. I think RDIF has been a landmark decision of Government of India under the leadership of Honorable Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi ji, who announced it in budget in the 2025 year actually. The whole purpose of this is to catalyze deep tech innovations, which always have a long gestation period and also a lot of attrition happens. And to many of these, you require patient capital as well as some risk capital, which is very important to come from various sectors. And I think it's also important that it's everybody participates in these kind of activities as well actually. What is really required is the working capital for research and development, as well as advanced infrastructure capacities that are really needed to be built through this mechanistic, through this fund of this ideas actually is this. What we expect is to have next generation products in various sectors to come out from this perspective. And I think RDIF, as all of you know, took shape through series of consultative meetings and deliberations, and Honorable Minister in fact participated in several of them, and his directions and his guidance was so crucial to put together this kind of framework that is very, very important for futuristic goals of whatever Viksit Bharat the country is looking at. I would also like to place on record DST Secretary for spearheading this techno-commercial scheme for scientific departments. This is kind of very new for how to work with markets for a variety of ways. Although I must say that BIRAC has been a leading player in terms of building the innovation ecosystem actually, and the public-private partnership that it has created over the years has actually transformed the biotech ecosystem in a way that was never really thought about when it was really began as an activity about 10 years back. It's also, I'm very happy to identify that BIRAC has been identified as a preferred partner for implementation. I think the journey of biotech innovation ecosystem would really take off from now to what you would call industrialization or technology development of various processes. In next 20 years, the Viksit Bharat, what our country plans to aim to look at, I really believe that biotechnology-led industrial and technological revolution is the key to all of these things. And therefore, I personally believe that the RDIF fund has come exactly at the right time. If you really look at BioE3 set up the vision for the country actually, the BioE3 policy again announced by Honorable Prime Minister, approved by the cabinet, and then it was followed by the biomanufacturing mechanism. And now one can think of a framework which I call 6B framework actually. You know, you have biopharma, bioindustrial, bioenergy, blue economy, bioagri, and biocomputation systems actually. And together, all of these can make a very, very powerful perspective if we use RDIF vehicle as a right mechanism to build it. So I think I will stop here by invite all of you to participate in this kind of bold ideas, come up with your bold ideas, come with strong partnerships and also with shared sense of purpose, because this is a commitment now for ambition to collaboration to delivery. And I think we are all in this game for the future of our country. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. I now invite Dr. Vinod Pal for his address, please.
Thank you. Good morning. Honorable Minister of Science and Technology, Dr. Jitendra Singh ji. Sir, under your visionary leadership, India's science and innovation ecosystem has witnessed phenomenal transformation. Thank you for leading us, sir. Respected Dr. Rajesh Gokhale ji, Dr. Jitendra Kumar ji, Ms. Shamima ji, and above all, colleagues present in this room today, from media, from industry, startups, investors, and peers from DBT, DST, ENRF, and of course, BIRAC family. Warm greetings on this very special day. Indeed, congratulations to the unfolding of a very major, innovative, path-breaking initiative this morning. Today's launch of BIRAC-RDI fund under the 1 lakh crore Research Development Innovation Fund and Innovation Fund of Government of India marks a historic step in India's innovation journey, as has been stated already. This is the largest ever investment in research-led innovation and translation into products, translation into solutions. Biotechnology is one of the most promising sunrise sectors. Our bioeconomy has risen from $10 billion in 2014 to $166 billion in 2024 and is projected to be worth $300 billion by 2030, from 10 to 30 in 15 years, 10 times, 30 times in 15 years. And of course, we heard its projected potential to reach $1 trillion by 2047. India today has a huge R&D and startup ecosystem, the best in the world, among the very best in the world. From fewer than 50 startups in the biotechnology sector in 2012, we now have 11,000 such startups today. This transformation reflects the success of policy reforms and institutional performance under the leadership of the Honorable Prime Minister. However, while early stage innovation has flourished, growth stage deep tech biotech companies require more than that support. They require structure, patient and professionally managed risk capital. Biotechnology innovations often involve long gestation periods, high capital intensity, and supportive regulatory pathways. Traditional financing models are not always suited for this journey in terms of impact and in terms of efficiencies. Time is of essence, so we need funding mechanisms that act fast and bring about solutions. The RDI fund addresses precisely this gap. It supports projects at technology readiness level, TR level, 4 and above, enabling the transition from lab research to market-ready products. It provides long-term, low-cost, collateral-free loans, flexible equity, and hybrid funding options to reduce private investment risk and support scale-up, commercialization, and strategic technology acquisition. The fund, therefore, is not merely about financial support. It represents our commitment to move from publication-oriented research to outcome-oriented innovation as well. Our aim is clear. Indian research must translate into Indian products, Indian industries, and global leadership. I am very delighted that given its track record, BIRAC has been rightly entrusted to serve as the implementing partner for the biotechnology sector under the RDI infrastructure. Friends, India is no longer just a participant in global science. India is emerging as a global R&D and innovation leader. Our journey to Viksit Bharat at 2047 shall be powered by science, technology, and entrepreneurship. I congratulate DBT, BIRAC, ANRF, and DST for their commitment and coordinated efforts in operationalizing this path-breaking, highly important and path-breaking initiative. Together, we will ensure that this decade belongs to Indian science, Indian startups, Indian industry, and Indian innovation. Jai Anusandhan, Jai Vigyan, Jai Hind. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Paul. We will now proceed with the formal launch of the RDI website and national call for applications by the Honorable Minister, followed by his keynote address.
I invite Dr. Manish Diwan on the stage. Kalyan Ramanji also can join us. You also, please.
We now have the release of the flyers. We now have the call for applications launch. Thank you, Honorable Minister, sir. It is my honor to now request the Honorable Minister to deliver the keynote address.
Our esteemed colleague in the DT Ayog, Dr. Vinod, Secretary DBT, Dr. Rajesh, Gokhale, Dr. Jitendra, ADG Madam Shamima, Dr. Kalyan, all the other members of the faculty, the startups over here. No, I think much has been said, so without being repetitive, I'd just like to add one or two points for your consideration. I think this, in a larger sense, from the point of view of government, is also a reflection of the shift that has happened in the approach of the government under Prime Minister Modi. So at least the today's launch signifies the fact that we are no longer late starters. We have already started. And this has been possible because of the shift that has been executed. Otherwise, if you recall the experience of IT, this call would have been launched somewhere around 2040, not in 2026, because we were about a decade or so behind. Even the television happened late, the internet happened late. So what? Now we are in the global arena, ready to play a global role. And that all has happened in the last 1 decade, for which all of us acknowledge the political patronage and support rendered by Prime Minister Modi, as Dr. Rajesh was rightly mentioning. There were a series of presentations which were made, and then finally Prime Minister Modi came forward when he was convinced, and he also convinced the other colleagues in the cabinet to get this policy approved. Not only that, he also announced it in the Independence Day address and called upon youth to avail of it, in order to create a kind of awareness that now gradually, when the IT gives way to the biotech, this is going to be the tomorrow's entrepreneurship and tomorrow's in thing. And as is often said, that the next industrial revolution will be bio-driven. So it has all happened in the last 10 years, as Dr. Paul was rightly mentioning the bioeconomy as we stand today. But what is equally important to recall is that in 2014 we were just $8 billion US, because everything is appreciated only in the context of Einstein's theory of relativity. So if you compare where we were and where we come, and then as good scientific brains try to analyze how it has happened, then you would be able to appreciate that much has been done which was possibly not being done earlier or was not part of our work culture. The BIRAC is now a very active body on the part of the government. It's become very popular. In fact, it's very flattering whenever I go to small towns and I find some youngsters coming and approaching us with the proposals that they have submitted with the BIRACs, which means that now it is serving the purpose that it was meant to serve for. To serve not only startup is a means, not an end itself, so means for the next generation livelihoods, for next generation entrepreneurship. And to that extent, I think we were just 50 startups in 2004. Years. Today we are 11,000. So if we had gone by same pace, we would have just been 100 today. So you can see the quantum leap that has happened at the fast track. We have started moving. And the very recent budget is an evidence in itself, with 10,000 crore biopharma Shakti mission, which is an acknowledgement of the fact that bio-manufacturing is going to be what the world is going to look forward to in the years to come. We are already number 3 in Indo-Pacific, we are number 13 in the world, and India's share in the global industry is gradually increasing because it was very minimal. And therefore, and we have diversified. In fact, we are also among the first who have, I think, which will be tomorrow, referred to as space biotechnology. And then would come space medicine. Because we have already started experimenting with biotechnology, biotech kits in this space. So the kits which were provided to Shubhash Shukla also went from his department. And they were dedicated to the 7 experiments, half of them to plants, half of them to life sciences. And therefore, which would be applicable to the world all over. So we are also living up to the noble ideal of being Vishwa Bandhu, because the results would be available for the benefit of the entire mankind. So we have already now taken up a leading role in the global arena. And as I was telling, we have also now encouraged by Prime Minister's support. Our out-of-box thinking has also suddenly awakened, which sometimes, tends to go dormant in government's sector. But incidentally, most of us were from the other sector. And we were the first to have an MOU with ISRO. And I told Rajesh, I said, tomorrow you might require space physicians. Many would not understand today. But about 20 years back, Dr. Paul is from the same area of medicine that I belong to. About 20 years back, sports medicine was hardly taken seriously. जिसको कहीं admission नहीं मिलता वहाँ जाता. Today, this is one of the most lucrative vocations. So same would be one day with the space medicine. You will have space physicians accompanying the space expeditions. And therefore, we are already first. So as I said, ending up with what I started with, we are early starters, no longer late now. And I think besides science, the message would also go out loud and clear across the world, which will also enhance our stature geopolitically. And that's how the world has started looking up to us. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for your insightful remarks. Before we proceed for the media interaction, I request media persons to raise their hands and kindly introduce themselves.
Only one thing about this DL4 is already explained, DRL4. Sometimes many of the youngsters are asking, what about us? When we are starting, where do we get funds from? So for that, we have other provisions. So this RDI fund, because I didn't mention that because 2-3 learned speakers have already spoken about it before me. This is a part of a larger ecosystem. Don't look at it in isolation. So if you are an early beginner, we have deep tech startups funding even through CSIR. And don't look at single ministry. There we have, in fact, only 2 weeks back, relaxed that provision of 3 years of standing, which was mandatory to apply for a fund. So even the early beginners at the risk of not succeeding can also apply for that. So it's a larger, and then TRL4 to TRL9, where of course the industry would also step in, and that's, I think, one of the first initiatives of this kind where government is funding the industry to accelerate their initiatives. And though I have never spoken because I sometimes don't feel so comfortable with this expression valley of death, but nevertheless, I think this phrase will also lose its relevance once we have industrial participation in a larger scale.
Thank you, sir, for your remarks again. Before we proceed to the media interaction, I would again request media persons to raise their hands for questions and also introduce themselves by giving their name as well as that of their organization before they ask their questions. The floor is now open. Kindly raise your hands, whoever is interested in asking questions. Yes, number 11.
Thank you. I'm Anil Honda. As I understand, I'm coming late. BIRAC has started with a 1 lakh crore kitty, is it? And as the government organization, as a public sector unit, my question is from supporting the startups in a way like giving away grants. I understand that you are moving to equity with the startups. If that is correct, the cost of borrowing for the government and for the equity partner would be what, like if it's a green project or it's a non-green project, because you are open to everybody else apart from bio.
So strictly speaking, it is not purely for startups. It's for those who have risen to a certain level, that is TRL4. And of course, it's an insecure funding happening.
And sir, on the equity and grant difference, like
Yeah,
the
that will
government,
vary from proposal to proposal, but the interest rate will not be more than 2%. You want to add, Rajesh?
What you are talking about is an equity partnership, equity sharing proposals. And this scheme is meant for either as a loan or an equity as well. Only purpose. The grant-in-aid mechanisms will continue through BIRAC for early startups. But that is separate but for the larger one programs where you need to make products, the risk capital that is being provided is in the form of equity or in the form of loan only.
So as I understand, the business model has changed from the grant basics as a role of the government.
Those are continuing, as Honorable Minister had
it
said.
Is, as I said, it's a additional component in a larger ecosystem. So all that stands as it is. So nobody should go home with the impression that everything else has been shut down. It's just another means to accelerate, because the industry also needs time to gear up. These are some of the new areas which have opened up. Space, nuclear sector, even these areas, the industry was not prepared. So from that point.
Thank you.
Thank you. We may now move on to the next question. What I can gather is the explanations were so clear, there are no questions, and
Clear or
everybody seems to be
unclear?
clear about everything. So with that, we come to the end of the press conference, and I also have the pleasure of inviting you for lunch, which is being served on the fourth
No,
floor.
some of the youngsters are there. So potentially, yeah, they have any suggestion to make to the venture partner. Are the representatives of venture companies there? Do you have to make any suggestion to MD BIRAC? Yeah, please.
I'm Dr. Ramesh from Hyderabad, a cardiologist turned investor, practiced medicine for 25 years, became a VC 10 years back. We're investing out of Fund 3 now, a deep tech product focused fund. I think this is a fabulous initiative. Most of the investors in the country, probably 1,000 SEBI registered funds, the deep tech product startups still are finding challenges. I think this is a fabulous initiative. I was reading a report by the US government comparing China and the way biotech and life sciences, they're so scared if we don't act fast, there's a possibility that we'll be behind China in the next 10 years. I think this is a fabulous initiative by the government, the way they thought about it, whether the development of the clinical trials, the development of bio foundries, and also this new initiative RDI scheme through BIRAC and TDP, and various other second level fund managers which we selected. I think I strongly personally feel selecting TDP and BIRAC as an existing organization, there'll be a good competition between the governmental second level fund managers and the private fund level managers. I'm sure that may take some time, 5-10 years to see the delta, but I think it's a great initiative, especially with the BIRAC and TDP, the kind of the scientific depth they have in-house also. I'm sure they will select good quality startups, and I think it's a fabulous initiative by the government. Having said that, we are not raising money from the RDF. We just close our fund. We'll definitely watch from the sidelines and the cheerleaders for the great actions taken by all of them. Thank you, sir.
No, I think from the point of, not only from the point of view of finances, even otherwise, policy-wise, this is a very bold decision taken by the government of India. Secondly, I think very soon we are going to be second to none. But it will not be absolutely fair to compare ourselves with China, because our approach is entirely different. So they don't believe in Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas. So they have stopped funding everything else. And for the last 30 years, they said put all the money into science, because science doesn't believe in expression, freedom of speech and freedom of expression. Give them all and rest all you curve, which is not possible in a democratic setup like ours. So we are also in a carrying forward our tradition, and at the same time being competitive. So that is something very appreciable.
Say something.
Good afternoon.
Next we could come back to you later.
My name is Dr. Pinak Shrikande. And again, like Dr. Ramesh, I have practiced for 20 years as a critical care physician and now run a venture fund called Health Voice. We invest in healthcare technologies in India, anywhere between $7 to $25 million. My request to the Honorable Minister and to the esteemed colleagues on stage is that while we start looking at funding through the BIRAC ecosystem, it is also important if we can also pay attention on the regulatory frameworks and the challenges in regulations that arise for startups at this stage, which becomes the big challenge for them to then, that's where the money gets stuck. And if I would urge sir to actually look at this area very closely.
No, we are already conscious of it. We've also made a lot of amendments and modifications. And even the timelines are now more followed with a greater discipline. As he said, the closing date is 31st May. And the BIRAC is also facilitating the startups to initiate themselves. But wherever I agree with you, wherever you find you come across a new observation where you think there's a bottleneck where we could actually make further amendments, we are open to it. But at least this government is open to. We have simplified and also expedited not many procedures. And overall, you will be glad to know that this government has already done away with as many as 1,600 rules. And even in the Shanti Act, in the nuclear district, we have decriminalized some of the offenses. Earlier on, any offense related to nuclear sector, you were put behind the bars. It's no longer so. Some of the offenses have now been made liable to fines or monetary liabilities. So we are already in the process of that. Overall speaking, ease of business.
Yes, please.
Good morning and thank you for this session. My name is Kavita Iyer and I'm founder CEO of Zoomotor. It's an immuno-oncology startup, a first-in-class startup. I think Honorable Sir had mentioned this. I am a good example of a startup that went on to the United States to be resident there. Now that the ecosystem has changed in India and we want to come back here, we would definitely seek help with regard to like a Garvapsi program. But it is very difficult to move assets that are already in phase 1 clinical trials, and we intend to apply into schemes like this. So I would request that a body be formed to advise and help startups like ours, which qualify but technically would stand outside of this premise. Another small suggestion is we definitely need regulatory support, especially when we have been exposed to the US and European regulatory frameworks, especially in biologics. Now to do it in India, which is slightly different, but is no longer playing catch up. I think the time is now for startups like ours to flourish in India. And thank you so much for this opportunity.
No, we are already open to welcoming them. In fact, you also have certain advantages in India which you don't have there. Like you also come from the field of medicine, so also Dr. Paul. The other day I had a group of boys from Germany. They wanted to do a health project, so asked me, what do you think, sir? What theme should I pick up? So I said, you name the disease, I'll give you one, which you can't have in any European country. You won't find tuberculosis, you won't find leprosy, you won't find gonorrhea, so many things. So that way you have advantage of research over here on food is bigger. And at the same time, I agree with you, some of those constraints which were prevalent earlier have been taken care of. Wherever you find more constraints, you are welcome to point out. We'll overcome them also. In fact, I had a sitting during STAC with some of the diaspora science scholars and science entrepreneurs working in different countries. And most of them are keen to come back because the reasons for which they went out no longer exist now. The problem is that when you are, how many years have you been there?
We have been there 10 years.
Yeah. So the problem is that when you have been there for more than 10 years, then the other factors don't allow you to come back. Your children, your spouse, so that's why I'm now advising all the youngsters, if you're going abroad for your enhancement, calculate your timing of coming back. Because in the extraneous, we, in fact, for your reviews, we arranged a project for one of the IITians from Delhi, 1980. He came here, went back home and then called up and said, my family says you make a choice. So window is very small. But now the milieu is ready.
Thank you, sir.
Please, Dr. Paul is also there.
सही जो बात कही गई regulatory facilitation or regulatory visibility. This is absolutely a very important element on two counts. One, in terms of overall system, how regulatory system should perform, how it should be dynamic, how it should not be frozen in time. That's one part. But for biologics or biopharma products, we still have to, not only it has to be fitting into the generic efficiencies and facilitation, but also specific aspects that apply to this. So we are working on both. Only last week, the DBT BIRAC had organized a convening, and I wish to inform you that in addition, there is a high-level committee at NITI Aayog, chaired by Shri Rajesh, honorable member of NITI Aayog, where we are systematically looking at how deregulation can be brought out in multiple sectors, including the drug and biologic regulations, this is the drug regulatory space. We are actively pursuing this, and in fact, I would like to say here, sir, with your permission, that the ideas on how to refine the current model toward a more facilitatory model, the ease of research and innovation and product translation model, please come out with your suggestions. And I think we are in the phase of collating ideas. So be specific कि वहाँ पे ये है, आप यहाँ ये एक्स्ट्रा रुकावट है, इसको कैसे दें? I'll urge you to be specific, not generic. What is the paradigm prevails here? What is that you?
I think it requires
That's very important.
It requires change of mindset, both sides, here as well as there.
Good afternoon, sir. My name is Dr. Venkat. Nice to see Paul sir and Rajesh ji after a long time. I'm a development professional turned cancer researcher turned entrepreneur to many other things. At the outset, really compliment the initiative, sir. I wish this had been there 2 years ago. Some of us would have survived as an entrepreneur, but not as what we are in today. Is there a way, sir, to...
If it was 10 years ago, she wouldn't have gone.
Anyway, some things, maybe time has to come to get to what it is. Sticking specific to cancer and cancer research, sir, is there a way to, even within the government system or ecosystems, to look at the multiple silos that exist? As a minister, you are also at NCG, Tata Memorial, CSIR has X, BIRAC has X, and within DST has XYZ schemes. Many of us get often lost in translation in the myriad of things. And if there is a way to coordinate, assimilate, and synthesize some of these own innovation efforts. I'll give one very specific example, sir. On one hand, we announced in this budget on our clinical trials. What we do in this fund vis-a-vis on creating a nation-first standing clinical trials platform has a massive effect in terms of how we look at the biopharma mission as well. Because in a biopharma mission, we take manufacturing as a goal. If we take on manufacturing, if we take a standard dosage on the basis of a fixed dosage vis-a-vis a weight-based dosage, which is a lot more apt to an Indian condition because the epidemiology is very different as what we see in Jammu Kashmir vis-a-vis Tamil Nadu. Maybe synthesizing some of those technical aspects with respect to getting the clinical trials right, the first instance will be a great issue, sir. Compliments to you and the team, sir. Thank you.
No, I think we are already at it. We have, to a large extent, done away with the culture of silos, and I agree with you. Biotechnology is no longer the domain only of biotechnology department. Even CSIR you have biotechnology, even the health sector you have. So, and the institutes are existing. CSIR has 2 or 3 dedicated institutes, and in fact they are now in the process of aligning. Like they are doing working on genes with a clinical trial in Christian Medical College, Vellore. The CSIR is working, in fact, almost come out with a successful genetic trial on sickle cell disease. And it existed, that silos culture, till about a few years ago, when even one director didn't meet the other. But now and I always insist that we should have theme-based conclaves, not institution-centric, so that all come together. You'll be surprised to know, to add to what you're saying, in some of the cities, I personally went and got multiple MOUs done between the Medical Institute, the CSIR Institute, the IIT and IIM. So So I was asked why IIM. So I said, now you are also looking at the market because you can't sustain without industry. And these are the guys who have been trained to strategize the market approach. So we are open to it. And in fact, I always keep saying, but gradually, as I said, the mindset also needs to be changed.
Thank you. Could we have the mic this side, please?
So it's a really wonderful initiative, sir. I'm Dr. Raghavendra Gaikaivari, and I'm beneficiary of Bio-E3 policy. So actually, we are starting one infrastructure over there in Maharashtra. My question is that actually with this BIRAC-RDI fund, the equity distribution, like when you are going to invest, whether the equity will be in the range of 26% or it will be in the range of less than 10%. What has been envisaged if the equity has been really infused into the company?
No, so depends upon the valuation of the company, first of all, or where we are investing. But in general, we will not exceed, say, 10 to 15% of equity in a company. Because ultimately, then again, next round of funding, you will have difficulty. So this is our aim. But then it depends upon, suppose if it's a very early startup and they need huge amount of funding, then our equity will increase. So those are investment committee will be there who will decide upon them. In general, we will not exceed 10%, 10 to 15%. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Anyone else?
You had ended up, ma'am, you ended up with one question, what has triggered now?
I think we could come to the end of this event. Thank you all for your gracious presence. Is there somebody else who's wanting to ask something? Could you raise your yes, please. Please give your name and.
Hi, I'm Shailaja, one of the co-founders of C6 Energy, based out of Bangalore. I'm interested to understand what the co-funding model means. Does the company need to generate external funding from an investor, or can it generate it from its own resources? What is the contingency there?
So this is one point which I think was not emphasized in my presentation, that 50% of the funding has to come from the grantee, I mean the investee. So applicant actually, 50% of the funding. So therefore it's very important that either they can get this funding from the internal accruals, which is most unlikely because they are still, we are saying deep tech and technology is 4 to 6, they will not have revenues. But if it's a later end company, if they have some revenue, they can do from their own sources also they can do. Now they have to raise 50% of fund, which is challenging. And therefore, BIRAC is actually already tying up with IVCA, Indian Venture Capital and Alternate Investment Capitals. And we will facilitate, try to facilitate. And it's not a guarantee that we will, but we will try to create a platform where the rest of the 50% can be actually, you can pitch to these, we will connect you to them, and if it's possible.
No, in brief, the government contribution will not be in any case more than 50%.
Yes.
So how the other side raises 50% is your business. You are at liberty to use your options and they will facilitate. But what is also required, you can't be raising funds from two government agencies.
Yeah, that is.
Suppose you take, which was happening till a few years ago, you take a loan from here, then take a loan from State Bank, then take, so that might not be easily permissible.
Commercial banks,
otherwise you can have philanthropists, you can have NGOs, you can have, maybe your 50% is not from your pocket at all if you are smart enough.
Thank you all for your active participation now. So with that, we come to the end of this event. I invite you all for lunch, which is being served at the 4th floor. Thank you again for your gracious presence.